Welcome. If you're listening to this, that means you want to become an entrepreneur, or perhaps you're already one and want to take your business to new heights. That reminds me about one of my coaching clients. He's a very successful businessman. So I asked him, what made you leave your stable job and start this business? To which he said the most amazing thing I ever heard. He said, if you have a job, you will feed your family. If you have a company, you can also feed the society. Think about that. If you have a job, you will feed your family. If you have a company, you can also feed the society. So in this masterclass, I'm going to share with you what separates the best entrepreneurs from the rest. I'm going to focus on 3 areas that you need to focus on to stand out from the rest. By the end of these sessions, I want you to believe that entrepreneurship is a viable option if you really choose to. It's hard at times, but it's also very rewarding. I also want you to notice that there has never been a better time to be an entrepreneur than it's now. The opportunities now are immense if you are able, willing, and ready to seize those opportunities. You see, I have been on my own for the past 16 years. Prior to that, I used to work in the corporate world. Life was good. As a salaried employee, you can look forward to the salary at the end of the month. There is less risk. But I always wanted to do something different, something that can provide me with both income and an ability to have impact. And for someone like me to shift from an employee mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset was like jumping into the deep end of the pool without knowing how to swim. So over the years, I made several costly mistakes. I made money, but I also lost money. But what I'm proud of is that I know for a fact that I have created massive impact. So it's a combination of income and impact. But what I truly treasure are the lessons I learned over these years. Sometimes I look at those lessons I learned and I wish I knew then what I know now. I also meet with several successful entrepreneurs. Some of them are my clients. I have met people from newbie entrepreneurs to millionaires and billionaires with businesses in different industries in different countries. And I also made an effort to learn from other entrepreneurs. Even while I'm coaching, I'm also learning from several different people I meet, speak, consult. Because as a leadership coach, I get to also to travel the world speaking, coaching, consulting. And I also get involved in different business ideas and implementing them. So now I look at entrepreneurship from an entirely different perspective compared to when I started. And that's exactly what I would love to share with you. So this session is called the Entrepreneurial Mindset. But before we go any further, I want to know something about you. And if you're able to comment below this video, please do. Answer these questions. Are you an entrepreneur? Or are you planning to be one? Go ahead and comment if you can. Are you an entrepreneur or are you planning to become one? So if you have thought about that, now my question to you is this. According to you, what is an entrepreneur? Of course, this is a word most of us can't pronounce because it's a French word. The good news is that you still can be an entrepreneur even if you can't pronounce the word right. Okay, that's good news. So tell us, what's an entrepreneur? Typically, when I ask in front of a live audience, people often say, oh, that someone who creates an enterprise, someone who creates value, someone who takes risk, someone who converts ideas into reality, someone who creates jobs. I would invite you to think differently from the rest. I invite you to adopt a new mindset. So here is a story that encapsulates what entrepreneurship is all about. As you listen to the story, think about what the lessons could be, what's the point of the story, and also try to figure out what's the relevance of the story in relation to entrepreneurship. Here you go. Here is a story. Once upon a time, there lived a poor farmer. And this poor farmer lived with his wife in a small hut. And one day, the farmer bought a mouse trap. Now, the mouse of the house, he got terrified. He said, "Oh my God, there's a mouse trap in the house." And he panicked. Then he ran out of his house, and there he met the hen, the goat, and the cow. He went to the hen and said, "Hen, hen, there's a mouse trap in the house, there's a mouse trap in the house." And the hen said, "Why are you telling me this? This is not my problem." So the mouse went to the goat and said, "Goat, goat, Mr. Goat, there's a mouse trap in the house, there's a mouse trap in the house." And the goat said, "Hey, why are you telling me this? This is not my problem, go away." So the mouse went to the cow and said, "Cow, cow, holy cow, there's a mouse trap in the house, there's a mouse trap in the house." And the cow said, "Have you ever heard a cow being trapped in a mouse trap? Go away, it's not my problem." So, as you heard, there was a mouse trap in the house. Everyone heard about it. Most of them ignored it because it was not their problem. That night, bang, something got trapped in the mouse trap. The farmer's wife, she sprang up from the bed and said, "Wait, finally I got the mouse." And she went into the kitchen. It was pitch dark. She could not see a thing. She stooped down to pick up the mouse. But it was not the mouse that was trapped in the mouse trap. It was a snake. And the snake bit the farmer's wife. And she yelled out in pain. And the farmer came running in to save his wife. And he killed the snake. But the damage was already done. The farmer's wife fell ill and she had high fever. So what's a good medicine for high fever? Some people say paracetamol. Of course, the poor farmer could not afford paracetamol. So he slaughtered the hen and fed his wife with chicken soup. Next day, friends and relatives came to visit the farmer's wife. And to feed them, the poor farmer slaughtered the goat. Unfortunately, 2 days later, the farmer's wife passed away. And the entire village came for the funeral. And to feed them, by the way, in India, it's illegal to kill the cow. So the poor farmer sold the cow and took the money to pay for the funeral expenses. But now the farmer was so unhappy, disappointed, dejected. He said, "Because of my stupid decision to buy the mousetrap, my entire livelihood has disappeared." And he had no motivation to work. And 3 months later, the poor farmer passed away. And that's the end of the story. Now think about this. What are the lessons you can take from this story? People often say, what is not your problem currently can become your problem later and affect many others. You see, I have been very passionate about this topic. So I have derived 18 leadership lessons from the Mousetrap Story. In fact, I've written books about it. One of the best-selling books is called Mastering Leadership, the Mousetrap Way. You have the website there if you're interested to learn more. But I'm going to take this lesson and apply this to entrepreneurship. Even though there are 18 lessons, I want to focus on one aspect that's relevant to you as an entrepreneur, is that the mouse is your market crying for help? And the mousetrap represents the problem for which your market needs a solution. So these are problems that can affect others directly or indirectly now or in the future. So you see, there are many problems in our society, in our community, in our country, in our world. Government can't solve all the problems. That's where entrepreneurs step in. Any thriving economy needs entrepreneurs to survive and thrive. If you look at developed economies, they promote entrepreneurship. Why? Because entrepreneurs create jobs, they create value, they solve problems. Also, they contribute to the GDP. That leads us to the definition of an entrepreneur. So what's the definition of entrepreneur from this perspective? An entrepreneur solves the problem of someone in the best way possible and makes profit to survive, thrive, and scale. So you're not just solving a problem, you're also earning a profit. So it's both income and impact. So this is the mindset I want you to have. Years ago, when people started to travel large distances, they could not come back home on the same day. So they wanted to have a place to stay for the night. That's where the cottages and the hotels started. And it got better, and people wanted better beds. That was provided. Then people wanted to have a place where they can get a hot shower. They wanted better beds and larger rooms so they can not only sleep, they can also work. And people wanted spa and massage, and these was added to the services. And then people wanted breakfast before they go to work. And then they said, they ate so much, I also need a place for exercise. So hotels started to add these services. And of course, they started to have fancy hotels. And one day people asked, why waste money? Why can't I just stay at home? Airbnb came along. And they started to be termed as the largest operator of rooms in the world. But then the coronavirus came. So you see, the whole point here, the needs of the market changes, the cries for help from the mouse changes. So it's a cycle of creation, innovation, and disruption. You can't just have one idea and stay with that for the rest of your entrepreneurial journey. You're always paying attention to the changing needs and creating, innovating, and when there's a disruption, you adapt. So that's the whole thing I want to talk about from the mindset perspective. Look at the mouse and look at the mousetrap. So I also remember the definition I just shared. Now moving on, where do you get ideas to run your entrepreneurial ventures? One quick example is on Dropbox. The guy who invented Dropbox, 𝗕𝗂𝘁𝐽, he once traveled far to another city to do a presentation and realized he forgot to bring his USB drive and he didn't have a presentation with him. So he realized, hey, why can't I find a website where I can store files? And that was the starting point for Dropbox. Again, it identified a problem that affected him, and he found a solution that can help more people. Again, the mouse and the mousetrap. But now, do you have a great idea, by the way? For example, years ago, I had this idea. Used to call it something like an expat cafe. What I thought was, when I travel into a new city, what if I could connect with all other expatriates in the same city, so that I can find where to shop, where to eat, where to sleep, what to do. And I had this great idea, but I didn't tell anybody because I thought, oh, it's a great idea. I don't want anybody to copy my idea. Years later, Facebook came with a place to connect and share with the people in your life. So my idea was similar, to have a website where expats can come together, share, and learn. So the point here is, idea is worthless. Worth a little, but very less. The key is execution. So markets doesn't reward ideas, market only rewards execution. So having a great idea is not enough. Market only rewards execution. So see how you can take your ideas and start executing it. Sometimes you don't need like phenomenally great ideas to survive and thrive. You can also look at boring ideas. For example, I know people who make millions of dollars by taking contracts to cleaning apartments. When I shared this, someone in the audience came to me and said, hey, I have a business. Actually, they clean shoes of well-off people. There's a shoe clinic. So there are different ways. Business can be boring. For example, one of my clients and a friend, he actually runs a cooking gas business. For example, he supplies cooking gas to a large community, but he operates in a business in a way that he doesn't have to be there for the system to run. But every month he gets a huge lump sum amount in his bank after cost, which is because he spent a lot of time building up a system which can operate without him and provide as service, but most people don't want to get involved because it's a boring endeavor. But it creates a steady cash flow for him. Sometimes you don't need to have a product or a service. You can even create a cash flow by selling other people's product. For example, in online world, there's a huge thing where people do affiliate marketing, and you can learn more about this later. Think about what's the model you want. You can also track trends. Nowadays, the trend is people are working from home. A lot of things are online. And also, if you watch this, there is new initiative to have internet satellite, which means you would be able to access the internet anywhere in the world, not in just land, anywhere in the world. Once this is implemented, this is a trend. So what can you do if people can be on the internet no matter where they are in the world with the same speed, high broadband internet? What's the solution you can offer to these people who are online? So think about this, reflect on the problems that are affecting you and others, and also watch the trends. That's what I want to share with you to look at ideas. Now the next thing is skills. There's an interview I did on BBC where I share there are 5 core skills you need to master to stand out from the rest, whether you're an executive, a leader, or an entrepreneur. If you do not master these 5 core skills, it doesn't matter what you master, you'll always be performing under your true potential. If you look at leaders who are popular and famous and you recognize them, they all have these 5 core skills. So you might ask, what are these 5 core skills? Manoj, just tell me. So these are the 5 core skills. And I also look at the way that it says skills you need to win the race. So that's why I use a host to represent. So here are the 5 core skills. An ability to connect. When you meet someone for the first time, how do you connect with them? How do you form a favorable impression? How do you communicate? How do you express your thoughts, what's in your head, clearly, confidently, and convincingly? How do you network? How do you build a network of relationships so that you get the right help when you need it the most? How do you lead? How do you delegate? How do you get others work on your mission? And the 5th one, ability to influence, or you can look at it, ability to sell. How do you get other people to accept your ideas, products, and services? So these are the 5 core skills you need to master. And if you do not master these 5 core skills, of course you can exist, but you will always be performing under your true potential. So I'll invite you to learn and master these 5 core skills. A lot of the coaching I do are in this area to help these skills, because I notice once you have these skills, you become unstoppable. Because you're not only doing work by yourself, you can propagate your ideas better, you can get investors, you can get partners, you can get collaborators, and you are living in another level. You can take your business to greater heights. Areas I would like you to focus: the mindset. Think about the mousetrap and the mouse, the problems which you can be a solution provider for. And ideas. Look for problems you are facing, other people are facing, or just watch trends and predict what could be the future and figure out a solution that people would appreciate when you bring it to the market. And also you need to test ideas. With more time I would have gone slightly more detail, but the whole idea is come up with an idea, test it out in the market, build it, measure it, adapt it, innovate it. The whole thing I said before: creation, innovation. There's a disruption, you look at the changing needs. So this also need to test your ideas as well before you scale it up. Okay, and also you as a person, would people want to work for you? Are you able to convey? Do you have vision in the first place? Are you able to convey your mission? Are you able to inspire your team? Are you able to get those collaborators and partners and investors on your side? So these are the skills that's important. Then there's one more thing. I once went to the Taj Mahal. And I was surprised. You know how many people visit the Taj Mahal? Probably 50,000 people a day. And it turns out my guide who was showing us around, he said there are a lot of replicas of the Taj Mahal in different parts of the world. And you could actually take a photograph in front of those replicas and it looks exactly the same. But why do people still come to the Taj Mahal and where they have to queue for hours, go through security checks, get in, and it's very hot outside? Why do people come there? The key is the story behind the Taj Mahal. The point here is there could be several people doing the same thing as you want to do, but the whole thing is how do you stand out? What's the story of your brand? The brand stories can completely change the value of your company. Sometimes some of my students, as I said, high-profile investors and the millionaires who have built, scaled, and sold their companies, one of the things they do is actually they identify the story for the brand. So the branding is equally important compared to the products and services you offer. What I want to highlight is this: you need to have a story behind your brand. This is why organizations spend resources to develop a brand story. Stories of struggle and success, because no struggle, no story. Stories makes your brand memorable, stories make your brand stand out, and branding helps to create differentiation in a market where differentiation doesn't exist. So think about that. And also in your environment, look at the mousetraps that needs a solution. You see, if you are an employee at this point, you need to switch from an employee mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset, because as an employee, you are not encouraged to fail. So you always focus on fixing your weaknesses. But as an entrepreneur, you focus on your strength and you hire your weaknesses. You delegate things you don't want to do. And even if you had a setback, think about this: you didn't fail, your business failed. So you always learn from the lessons, mistakes you make, and you can always bounce back. So that's a shift from the employee mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset that you need to first focus on. There are several other things, but that's one thing you need to focus on as you start. Because employees are not usually encouraged to take risks. Entrepreneurs take risks. That's why the rewards are better. So risks are not scary things to be avoided, because risk can bring better rewards. Remember this: the best time ever to be an entrepreneur is now, provided you are able, willing, and ready to seize those opportunities. Before I sign off, I want to give you more value. That's why I have designed some free gifts just for you. As a world champion of public speaking, let me tell you this: if you want to be a great entrepreneur, you have to learn public speaking. That's why I decided to give you access to an online course known as the Nervous to Fabulous Foundation course in public speaking. This course is easily valued at $700, but if you ask me the real worth, this is in millions of dollars, because this is an essential skill you need to learn. So get started at the link given. Next is, as an entrepreneur, you need to be a better leader, a leader others admire and follow. That's why I'm going to share with you a content that you can learn by yourself. It's called the Mousetrap Keynote. We only looked at one lesson. As I said, there are 18 lessons. This keynote will teach you more lessons. And if you want to know the entire set, the 18 lessons, take a look at the book I mentioned before, Mastering Leadership the Mousetrap Way. And also, it's important as an entrepreneur to have a clarity on the idea behind your business. That's why I'm giving you access to the Entrepreneur Ideation Kit. You can download that for free, but I also will be adding more content to an online course related to this, and you will get access to that in due course. So grab it while you can. Are you on social media? Then feel free to connect with me on various social media handles. In different channels, I share different content. So subscribe everywhere you can find me. I'll always ensure that what I'm sharing is of value and you can implement it right away. And if you also take a look at the membership area, I've given you some special gifts there. So log in and take a look at that as well. Take a screenshot and visit the links and grab the gifts while you can. I hope that sharing was useful. I just want you to remember, the decision whether or not you want to be an entrepreneur is yours. I will not force you. I can only share what I know. But if you are an entrepreneur and if you want to scale up your business, remember the three things I suggest that you focus on: the mindset, the ideas, and the skill. Today, I believe the opportunities are immense. The world has become a global village. The global village used to be a dream. Now it has become a reality. And I truly believe the world is waiting for people like you who can solve more problems. The question is, are you ready?